Welcome to this edition of Safe and Sound. I'm Kirk Webb, your host. This is sponsored by White Mountain Fire and Life Safety. And today on the show, we have Jay Brimhall, Community Services Director, and Tony Alba, Town of Pinetop Lakeside Community Services Manager.
Right.
Basically the same title. So, Jay, give me a little bit of what's your job description? What do you do?
Okay. The day-to-day, huh? I am the Community Services Director for the City of Show Low. Been here for 7 years. I am over the Aquatic Center, the library, and the events and sports, parks and recreation, and then a whole bunch of stuff that people don't see until it's done.
Right.
Like
so
projects and what have you.
Right. And I get that completely. Tony, how about you?
A lot of the same. So I do community relations, event planning, economic development, communications, community relations, clean the bathrooms once in a while. We're a much smaller staff than, not much smaller, but smaller staff than Show Low. So we really have to be smart with our resources. So there's really nothing that we're not called upon to do.
Right. Kind of like same thing in my division. Everything that nobody else wants to do, it comes to us, and I'm glad I'm not alone. So welcome to the club, right?
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to have you guys on the show today to really talk about, because the White Mountains as a whole, we're, granted, we are a different city, a different town, county areas, but we really work really well together as a region, don't we? And there's a wealth of things that happen up in the White Mountains. What are some of the activities that City of Show Low provides?
Well, we are in our summer season currently, and we are extremely happy to kind of be out of the woods, knock on wood.
No pun intended.
That was a bad pun.
Yeah.
It really wasn't intentional.
We'll take it.
When it comes to COVID and the events, right, that's something that really got whacked last summer. We weren't able to do any events. I remember, Kirk, on the 4th last year, my wife and I worked out at home, and we came and hung flags along the Deuce because that's basically what we could do.
That was the extent of our celebration, right?
That's right. And I remember just having this open wound that I felt internally in my chest, and it was depressing. I remember sitting a lot of when we were walking and putting the flags up. I remember where we sit to watch the parade, and that wasn't happening that year, and it just kind of hit me in that moment, and it was like, wow, this is kind of a drag.
Yeah, it was, because I don't remember ever. I'm growing up here when we didn't have it.
Right.
And last year there was a lot of things that didn't happen, and,
right.
and yeah, it left a big kind of a empty spot.
One cool thing that happened last year that Tony may or may not be aware of, I was informed by our fireworks contractor, who you're very familiar with.
Right.
That the show that we had in Show Low was the largest fireworks display in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Last year. I don't think we're going to quite make it this year because I think other things have opened up. But one thing our community did want to do and didn't want to not have for that day was fireworks. So we went all out, and it was a beautiful display.
Yeah, I was actually the one setting off a lot of those shells.
I know you were.
And it was deafening.
Yeah.
From our standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit back and watch it and see it after the fact with Show Low TV crew, that they film it and you can watch it, because it's completely different watching it like this straight up above you as opposed to looking from the side, a different angle, and both of them are great.
Right.
So yeah, I'm glad we did get to do that. That was a plus.
Yeah. But now we're opened up, and we're having the parade that will be on the 3rd of July this year, on the Saturday prior to the 4th. All of the festivities for the 4th of July with the City of Show Low will be on the 3rd. That's
right.
The Saturday prior. So the parade will be the same route that it's been, I don't know, forever.
Right.
Along the deuce of clubs, it starts promptly at 9 a.m. So our wonderful firefighters and also our police officers will be out there in force to kind of shut that road down and make sure people aren't encroaching into the street. We want people to be safe, but we want everybody to have a good time. And let's face it, it's been 2 years since we've had this parade.
And it's not an election year, so it's going to be nice to see what kind of floats and people that come out and things like that. So it'll be, I'm looking forward to it. I know we actually have crews that will be assigned to ride the bicycles.
Awesome.
And they run up and down, because we're looking for those, because granted, it's going to be hot.
Mm-hmm.
And people kind of forget to take the water with them, so got to stay hydrated, please, at all, and so people get injured, whether it's people that are in the parade or even those watching it. So those are good things to kind of be out for. And those are the things that we're able to provide to get that much quicker, medical help.
Sure.
And then, because it's difficult to try to get an ambulance up to when you're in the middle of a parade.
Difficult or impossible, Kirk?
It's difficult.
Okay.
Not impossible.
Nothing's
We
impossible.
have not ever had an opportunity where we couldn't get help there, appropriate help. So, and I know Pinetop Lakeside, you guys have the Fall Festival Parade.
We do. We have the Fall Festival Parade in conjunction the same weekend as the Fall Festival and Run to the Pines. So it's going to be a big event. I want to touch on some of the things that Jay brought up. This town, this community, not just town, but the White Mountains in general, showed so much resiliency and creativity. COVID was a life changer for us. I mean, who among us ever thought we would deal with something like that and have to live through something like that? But it forced us, I tell people it brought out the very worst in some people, but the large majority, it brought out the very best. And I was really impressed with how this community and how the mountain responded. The creativity. I know Show Low, they didn't do the 4th of July parade last year, but Rob Hepner, he put together a mini virtual parade. It was on a tabletop with little floats and everything. It was that sort of creativity that helped us get through it. We just finished up our balloon festival a couple of weeks ago at the end of June, which was fabulous, by the way. We had 25 balloons 4 years ago. The first year we did it, we had 4, so that shows you how we've grown. But last year during COVID, when we canceled the festival, we said, what can we do to still give this community something? So we didn't do the festival, but we still did the morning launches, and we had a drive-through balloon glow. And if you could have seen it, if you didn't see it, remember the closing scene in Field of Dreams where the cars are lined up miles and miles? That's how it was at Mountain Meadow Park in both directions. And it was just fabulous, and it really got us thinking, what else can we do? So we did a drive-through trunk or treat for Halloween last year. We did a virtual tree lighting last year. So a lot of good things that it really caused people throughout the community to think outside the box. And I think this whole mountain put its best foot forward.
Yeah, and it's like you said, thinking outside that box. It's nice work. I've worked with both of you in a similar capacity and with a lot of these activities, making sure Santa has a ride to his locations he's got to be at, things like that, and it's a lot of fun, and so when we have that COVID that came through, and now we got to, okay, how can we, like you said, how can we still maintain but yet keep people safe? I've lost some friends to the illness, but it's nice to see that we can't give up on our basic outlets, so to speak. We got to be able to have, I kind of always look back at that thought of there's 24 hours in a day, right? 8 hours of play, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of sleep. I think that's a pretty good rounded.
I don't get 8 hours of sleep, do you?
I've got children, so no.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat, grandkids and stuff. But it doesn't always work out. But I think a lot of people spend too much time on the work portion and not enough on on activities, especially with the family, and all of these activities that happen here, and whether they're provided for the city or the town. But there's all different kinds of things going on throughout the summer. Is there ever a weekend that's not something happening?
I mean, there are. There's not many. As far as the city goes, just real quickly, as you were talking there, I was thinking about the family and how important the family is, and how important the connection with other families is, and how we had to kind of struggle through that this last year. I just wanted to shout out, I know your library has done a lot too, but our library here, with the resources that are available right in front of us, these cameras and the crew that puts on these shows, and again, unbelievable reach. I mean, we all figured out how important YouTube and Zoom and all those technological advancements are in our lives in this last year. And I just want to real quickly recognize our folks next door. It's that way. Our library folks who really focused on providing people things to do, things to learn, while they were at home being safe.
Right. I know even Mrs. Dousefire got involved.
Yeah, she's vaguely familiar.
But she did some reading with the
She
library, and it's, and being able to keep those types of avenues open, because not everybody has access to the internet. Not everybody, so that going back to the basics, being able to read is important.
Sure.
I know kids, I've talked to a lot of kids when I go into the schools and things like that, ask them how well they like Zoom. Yeah, that's not a fun. They're so excited to be back and doing normal, and all of these things, and like look into the future. Is there always more room for growth for these types of activities? I think we're sitting on kind of a gold mine, and being able to look towards how can we provide more activities. And I know this year the heat in the summer in the valley, I did some training on the 2 hottest days down there. I stayed in the motel, which happened to be the same place where the class was at. I did not leave the motel much. It's just too hot. I'm not acclimated to that. Right. And I think not only are we looking at the revenue stream of people coming up, but they're always looking for something to do. And when we get into those times where we got restrictions and the forests are not always as readily accessible, but are there still things that people can do? It's like, what are some of their activities that Pinetop Lakeside have during the summertime and fall?
Well, I think during the summertime, there's never a weekend that is completely empty. In fact, you have multiple events every weekend, whether it's craft fairs or library events. We've got the Fall Festival we talked about coming up, 4th of July events. We don't do too much with 4th of July. We let Show Low kind of take the lead on that, but there's always kayaking and mountain biking, and even if it's not a formal planned event, there's always activities going on. And we talked about bringing out the best in people. One of the things that I'm really grateful for that COVID brought people together, and we were talking before we went on the air, Pinetop and Lakeside and Show Low, there's been conversations about working together for a long time, but never really went anyplace. It's now happening. We work very closely together, Jay and I, Steve North and I, a lot of our staff members. We're finally pulling together as a community, not just Pinetop Lakeside and Show, we're neighbors, let's face it, and we're partners. So we're working very closely together. Last week in June, Show Low used our softball fields for a big tournament, and you will again. We've used their softball fields. Show Low Little League opened up its doors to our Little League kids because our fields were undergoing renovation. So it's really caused us to work together and find creative ways for the betterment of the community. And that's one of the things that I'm really grateful for.
You know, and I see a lot of, you know, one of the things with my job is helping with hydrant fire flows, and we're getting requests for new construction coming in. So we're seeing a huge influx of people coming into our mountain area, and it's, you know, one, it's kind of exciting, but the other thing is, you know, there's a whole lot of planning that takes place to make sure that our growth is sustainable. And not only in the infrastructure, but activity-wise and things like that, making sure that, you know, everything, because the biggest thing that, from my point of view, is we got to keep people safe. And unfortunately, in my case, sometimes that includes doing inspections. You know, that's probably the not so fun part of my job. But being able to go out and do public education and participate in events, and if it's not me, having the crews available to go to these different events. You know, one of the big ones is the Show Low barbecue throwdown. You know, and here you got, I don't know how many teams they had in there that it was
35.
Cool. Thank you. 35. So that's a lot of people burning wood and charcoal and things like that, and they're in a safe place. I actually found a couple of the vendors that did not have fire extinguishers. You know, and so it's that kind of thing. And you know, a little bit of talking to them, and they didn't get in trouble, and they went down and got an extinguisher. You know, hopefully nothing ever happens, and I don't know that we've had anything, but there's always that potential.
Sure. And
especially when we're inviting the public to come in and mingle with these types of events where there's a possibility of something going wrong, you know, keeping that safety. But it's so, like you said, seeing the communities working together, because we're, you know, granted, growing up, I went to Blue Ridge, so no offense to Show Low, but Blue Ridge was, when I was in school, we were always taking state and things like that. But
hey, I took 3 state championship plaques off the wall to replace them with 3 new state championships off the wall from Show Low High School just this year. So continue.
and it's fun because, you know, Snowflake is always, you know, there's always been that great rivalry between the towns and city, and I think that's a good, healthy thing. But it's also nice to see when, you know, we work together to make these events. So like you guys do the 4th of July, you do the Fall Festival. And it's because just like with the fire departments and districts, none of us are big enough to handle that big, huge call. And, you know, I've been here during the Rodeo Chetasky, the Wallow, Cedar Fire, all these, you know, and we have to rely on other people to help us be safe.
Well, and you know, just to kind of correlate with that a little bit, Kirk, I think really that comes down to the leadership that we've got, both with our councils and our city and town managers. The familiarity that we've had over the years with each other. Now that we feel pretty comfortable, we can shoot each other texts and stuff, and we can just say, hey, is this happening? Yeah, it's happening. Don't worry about it. Right? And those lines of communication are open now. I mean, we're friendly. And again, it's good timing. I think, again, what Tony was saying, this last year has proven to test the mettle of people. And I'm very happy to report that the folks up in Pinetop, that's a great group. And I know we've got a good group down here. And again, it's good timing. It's going to take work to move forward. It always does. But again, I attribute the relationship that we have professionally to our leadership at the city. It was time, and we're glad that that's happening.
You know, and Mayor Leach actually called a joint meeting of our town councils a couple of months ago, and that really kind of opened up our eyes that there's great potential if we all work together, and I think everybody was on the same page. And we had already been doing that, but to have it come from the leadership, the elected officials, and both our town managers were there and encouraged us to do that. I want to do a shameless plug here for another big event coming up at the end of October that's going to be a benefit to all of our communities. We have a lot of veteran presence in all of the communities up here in the White Mountains, Show Low, Pinetop, Snowflake, everybody. We are able, and I say the White Mountains, it's going to be in Lakeside, but it's a White Mountains event. The Wall That Heals, which is the officially sanctioned Vietnam Veterans Memorial replica wall. It's a 3/4 size replica that will be here October 28th through the 31st. It'll be open 24 hours a day. We're working very closely with all of the communities, including Show Low. We're going to do we're going to escort the trailer that carries the wall, starting here in Show Low, going all the way through the Deuce of Clubs into Pinetop Lakeside before it unloads at Mountain Meadow Park. So that's going to be a great event. We're excited about that because let's face it, our Vietnam veterans were not treated well, and this is a way to honor them and what they did for this country.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up right here at the tail end of our little discussion, because I do myself. I didn't serve in the military, but I'm in that paramilitary type organization, and to me, you know, every type of event, Memorial Day, all those Veterans Day, you know, and you see a huge display of patriotism. You know, there's the Circle K right there at the 6260 intersection on the west side of Show Low there, and the amount of flags that's there is just a huge, awesome tribute, and it's catching on, and there's other places that are posting flags, and now seeing the new fence and through the meadow area and the new walkway, and every one of those pillars having a flag. And you know, the towns and cities both flying flags on street lamps, and to me it's, you know, I am very proud of our country and very grateful that to be a part of a wonderful free country where I can choose for me, myself, and my family, and I am grateful to our veterans regardless of which war they fought in. And you know, I have a son that served, and you know, some of the story, he was only there for 2 years, but some of the stories that he shares is, you know, sorry, I apologize. I'm one of those tearful kind of guys, but
It's all right.
things that he told me that he had to endure over there to protect our freedoms. It's just it's sad, and like you said, I don't think our military folks get the recognition or the admiration that they deserve. You know, so it's going to be a privilege helping out with that, seeing that come in, and like you say, 24/7. So do you have to make appointments?
No.
How does that work?
It's open. It will open on Thursday, and once it opens on Thursday, it's round the clock. So there's a lot of Vietnam veterans who don't want to be around people. You'll see them come at 3 a.m. and spend an hour there. So there's no appointment necessary. We are looking for volunteers because we have to have 10 to 12 volunteers 24 hours a day. So if you are looking to volunteer for a great cause and a great event that will help uplift this community, reach out to us because we're actively recruiting volunteers right now.
So just real quick on that, I've got some volunteers for you. Get with me afterwards. That's one of the things that nobody sees. If you have service project needs, I get calls, random calls all the time. So I've got plenty of volunteers for you, and let's talk offline about that.
Absolutely.
And kind of talking along that same line too. What's the best way to find out about different activities in the town of Pinetop Lakeside? What's social media or whatever?
Really, we have our website, and it's really our visitor website because that has all of the event flyers and information, news and information. Just go to visitpinetoplakeside.com. There's no hyphen in the Pinetop Lakeside on that one. Just visit pinetoplakeside.com. That's really the best way to get the latest news and information on events.
And you also have somebody right there in the town offices that can hand out, give you information,
Correct.
and just so if you're wanting to drive in and visit there with some of the town staff, you
Right.
guys
We
are-
opened up the official Arizona Office of Tourism Visitor Information Center at Town Hall about 1.5 years ago, so that's the best place to go. Show Low also has one at the chamber, but all sorts of information. And if you have events and flyers that you want to display in our visitor center, reach out and get them to us. We'll be happy to put them up.
and for the city of Show Low,
We've been working very hard on our calendar on our website. That's www.showlowaz.gov. There's an area on the left that says calendar. Hit that calendar. Scroll to the date that you'll be here. Look for things that are available to do. That will be updated. You can find us on social media, City of Show Low, Instagram, and also on Facebook, City of Show Low. And there are several sub-pages that we do for Parks and Recreation, the library. So just search those out, look for them, and that'll keep you up to date.
and I understand you got a new person that's working that social media aspect of things, and how has that been helpful?
Hugely helpful. So we're kind of a lean crew. I know you're cleaning bathrooms. I've actually done that too. I just didn't think to mention it. But, with all those disparate kind of efforts, it was really nice to have, okay, well, this is our point of contact. We just hired her, and she's formalizing all these things, and we've seen some pretty important changes happen, and we're looking forward to really helping get the word out and having accurate information on their website and everything. It's been good.
And that was a great hire, by the way. I was familiar with her from my days at Arizona Office of Tourism. She's a great person. We just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago. You made a good hire.
We know.
So, well, thank you, Jay and Tony, for joining us, and thank you for watching Safe and Sound, and we'll see you next month.